All right, so welcome back inside the Metaverse. Today, we're going to dive into a game roundup, take a look at some new projects that you guys might be interested in, but more importantly, kind of look at the overall expansion of where crypto gaming is leaning and dive in deep today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Metaverse Insider. Let's jump into it on a couple of news stories, but I do want to bring in our guest host as usual, and that is Mr. Mirko Dölger coming over from Unix Gaming. Great to have you back.
Thank you, Paul. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Good stuff. Mirko, I just wanted to get kind of an update with Unix. When right now we see the market a little bit in turmoil, but at the same time we're seeing a lot of releases in games from betas. We've got projects launching NFTs. Still a lot of activity in the gaming sector. When you guys are out there looking at the number of games and talking the amount of founders that you guys are talking to on a day in, day out basis, what's the overall sentiment right now market-wise? Are people looking at holding game releases? Are they looking at accelerating? What's the strategy?
A few fearless projects are stepping in now. I mean, just one project, I know they wanted to launch in January. Now they're doing the attempt and launching maybe mid of May. You still see hesitation about launching a project. And you also see that on our launchpad, what we actually wanted to go live with 1.5 months ago. The tech is all set up. We have 17 games lined up, but no release date. So 17 games ready to launch with final round. Our launchpad are really not deciding yet when they want to launch. So it's really like a waiting game, I would say. And also we've spoken to a lot of VCs because we also make introductions to a new project. And they said, all of them, they said, like, we're sitting on the fence at the moment. Like we're
Right.
waiting, like, a little bit to see the market a little bit, in a better conditions. I wouldn't say it's bad conditions, but it's definitely something, if you have a one shot, on a project, of course you
Right.
want to have the best for your project and not rush anything. So I think, but there's enough time to wait. I mean, it's nothing to
Sure.
rush. And it's good to build. I mean, the games can continue building right on their
Yep.
actual gameplay, because as we know from the market, mostly the projects, they are not yet live, right? They are just having
Right.
maybe an alpha and a beta, so it's still a long time to go. So I think it's not too bad to wait a month or two and timing the market.
Well, yeah, it seems to be a strategy that's being built into a lot of projects right now. Even with a lot of cases where they may roll out an NFT side, because the NFT side of the market seems to be somewhat unfazed, even though we've seen floor prices slip down slightly. But at the same time, some of the really good projects that are launching, I know Moonbirds just launched not too long ago. They had a huge launch. We've had a couple other launches in the NFT space that have continued to roll out. So I think from the side of the NFT component for gaming, Monkey League just dropped their NFTs. So, and it seems to be that we're leaning in more and more on that for sure. I want to jump over to our first story, and that is Yesports setting to launch their esports into Web 3.0, and this is going to be in partnership with Polygon Studios. When you look at these kinds of esports, and you've been a competitive gamer in the past, and the thought of moving esports really into the crypto side of things, at some point we're going to see a big hit here. What are your thoughts on who is going to be the winner, and what are your thoughts on Yesports and their partnership with Polygon Studios?
Yesports is huge, and I think the project itself want to move in, but the players are, I think, not yet ready. I mean, for them,
Yep.
it's still it's like it's definitely to give them a little bit more, or put them more in touch with Web 3.0, with the metaverse. I think it's a good step, because esport it don't know borders, right? I mean, the games we have in the play and earn space, they're also very competitive. You can have also, we have several esport teams there already, and they're playing tournaments. So it's just a new type of market, and I think once you see all the margins we talk about in play and earn, and then comparing that to games where you don't earn anything, so I think this is something could be very interesting for the space. So that even you don't need to be elite esport, but you can already earn something, and this is something I think will we see in the long run will adapt very heavily. And yeah, so Yesport definitely, I hope they give all these 500 million players already a home in the metaverse. But we will see. I think it still need really an influencer. So there, let's say all these esport fans, their
Yeah.
favorite streamer, their favorite player, when they start moving into the metaverse, then they will follow.
Yeah, I was looking at their just some of their growth, rapid pace here. 500 million esports fans globally, 1.1 billion in 2021 in terms of their growth, and then up more than 15, almost 15% a year from 947 million in 2020. The industry expected still to be about 1.9 trillion by 2026. So the gaming sector growing like crazy. They have 12 esports teams, many of the ones we just showed on screen, and kind of moving into this era of where Web3 is going, and kind of the partnership here with Polygon Studios, I think is a good move in the right direction. But back to your point, if you don't bring in the real gamers and we start to see that transition occur, you're right. I think we're going to see a little bit of an uphill battle to make it in, but it'll be fun to see how
No.
this rolls out. I want to
And
jump over
and you
to,
see sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
And you see that also in the esport market, basically, also in my time, that it's really not only the game or the team what is winning is all the time the favorite. Of course, it earn tournament money, but usually the teams who build basically a brand around that and basically highlighting the players and their personal life and their streaming and so on and their merch. These been actually the most established and most famous esport teams. Even they are not the best one. So I think, and this is something again, if you have their trust from the players, then everything can move also in the play and earn space Web 3.0.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be exciting because that's going to open up a whole new era of where true crypto gaming will roll out to and play and earn. I think it's just going to become its own big category for sure. Jumping into Chain Monsters, because this is another one that just did a beta phase 2 reveal. The wait is over. Today they reveal the highly anticipated Chain Monsters beta 2 going into land. You see a ton of movement in projects like this. First of all, have you taken a look at this game? Have you guys worked with this studio, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we focus on these all type of games anyway, but what we really enjoyed here was the battle and about the monsters, because it's very have a little bit something from Pokemon, and Pokemon, as everybody knows, being one of the most famous games and card games and in the planet, I would say. And Chain Monsters is, I wouldn't say a copy, but definitely they have a similar features, and the open world definitely is interesting for a lot of players. And yeah, collecting the pets, petting the pets, having a house, like a little bit like a Tamagotchi, has been also super
Right.
famous. And I think all these two elements, like collecting and then raising a pet, keeps you also be like, oh, I have to look at my pet. What is doing my pet? Not a real one, but people have built a relationship with the NFT, and that's why. And also, you can, let's say, upgrade basically your house. So you have kind of very good features to like a social interaction game as well. Plus, you have a battle modus here. So we love the concept, and we super excited about the final outcome.
Yeah, I was looking at. We look at these projects right now. We try to index the number of games right now for our crypto power index. We added them to the roster a couple of months ago and have been kind of tracking along over the past few months, really kind of what they've been doing, along with many other projects that are kind of exploding. So I'm looking forward to this one being a little bit more, especially as they start going out their beta now. I think we'll get a chance to see some more activity. All right, so I want to thank our sponsors today, and that, of course, is FTX. If you guys are looking to trade and you want to do it in a way in which you save a ton of money, they have some of the best rates for traders out there. A lot of other things are happening with FTX as well, and that, of course, is their NFT marketplace and a ton of access when you're looking at building a portfolio and you want to look at someone to build it on. FTX is definitely one of the places for you guys to go. Make sure and check out the link below to get access to some of the discounts for FTX. Help the channel out. Speaking of that, we've got a rundown here of a couple of projects that many people, if you're watching our show, probably have already seen, but there's a lot of new stuff happening. You've got Minds of Dalarnia now launching. This was their open letter from the team there at Minds of Dalarnia, really kind of thanking everybody. But the fact that they've kind of come to the game now in terms of a true launch here. What are your first thoughts on Minds of Dalarnia?
I mean, this is something really what I like, because they don't have a super long roadmap, so you don't need to wait for ages. And what they have done, basically, they live since November and have now already the gameplay live. I think the gameplay is it's I wouldn't say simple, but in the first look at the game is very simple, but it's really like exploring, these planets and collecting. And it's kind of have a DeFi a mining, live mining function. Plus, you have certain challenges to do, and I like the fact that all the areas you interact with, and the items you find. It's again like it's now a game where it's not only stored on data or on a server. So no, these things you craft and build, that's actually an NFT. And this is again why we love the space. And and very interesting game. And it's super complex later on when you see all these stats and traits, which countries you need to or planets you need to go for, and like choose the right equipment and so on. So yeah, we have already played it on our stream, and yeah, the viewers loved it. Our gaming team, they loved it. So yeah, super excited what also the expansion is bringing to the game.
Yeah, it's a PC game, downloadable for the PC. It's on the BNB chain, of course. You do have the function with both NFTs, and then obviously many people who own the DAR token out there. Even though the Dalarnia token has not been performing, there are some instances, I think, where some of these games, after we see some corrections in the market, where we could really start to see some of these projects really kind of accelerate in terms of value, for sure. I want to jump to the next game, and that is one that you brought to our attention, and that was Polygonum. And this is a free-to-play, as I understand. I was looking at the size of their community. This thing's huge. They got 157,000 followers on Twitter already. Tell me about this one.
I mean, this really for me, one of the at the moment the shooters you should play if you're a shooter fan. They have several features. They take a few elements from several games, like zombies and other features. The characters, they look pretty much like like a voxy, or like a sandbox type. And the interesting part is really that the shooter or the map, some of them, they really you brought back into Counter-Strike, and some of the levels where you basically fight or against each other in PvP mode. And they have very this, for example, look like Dusk 2 in Counter-Strike, and that's really like something I was missing at the moment, that you have a playable game but really have a good mechanic and feels good to play. And the reason why they have such a large community is definitely the free to play factor. But of course, free to play and having the possibility, same as Counter-Strike, basically it was the same method. It was always free to play, and then you have certain items you can find and trade them on their internal marketplace. and but it was actually just a digital code, and now it's NFT based. So this is definitely why we love this game, and our community is super excited about more and more features they bring out, and how the community grows and how the market adapt this game. Yeah.
This one seems really well vetted in terms of just the overall. I was looking at their website, crypto, the NFT, the marketplace side of it. You can kind of see where you're starting to trade their tokens. Obviously, the Pog coin, which is their governance term, the skill point, which is their in-game token. Very, very mature in terms of the overall ecosystem. When you see games like this, and you look at some games that launch, they maybe in many cases they don't even have an NFT plan in place just yet. This one seems to be very mature in the sense that they've worked out their in-game token economies, they're working out their NFT strategies. They've obviously got a game that's functional and it's free to play. With that kind of a rollout, do you think you could see mass adoption on something like this?
Definitely, I think that project is they took the best from the market and they just transition it into basically the play and earn space. So and this is something you don't need to necessarily reinvent the wheel or making
Right.
the most exciting or the new gameplay. No, take existing models and just build them onto the blockchain, and that's already it's enough that you have success. So,
Yeah.
and I think what they established and replicated one of a few of the most exciting um, game experiences what you had already in the past 20 years, and this is something I think it's a very good approach. And yeah, the free to play factor, and that it's almost everything live is really interesting, and they have also a kind of DeFi function. So very
Right.
interesting, and we super excited, and thank them that they have already some shooter out there what our community can play.
Mhm.
So this is definitely another bonus for us.
Man, I like the hits that we're bringing to the show a lot here. A lot of new games, some games that I think for our audience, maybe they've seen for the first time. Let's jump over to this last one, and this is Sipher. This is another one that you brought over to the show. The World of Cypheria. This one, again, graphics just absolutely stunning on where this game is going. Tell me about this project.
Yeah, Sipher is definitely one exciting title we're waiting for. And this is something sometimes you don't need to have, let's say, a large fundraise. You need to have the everything already set in stone, the biggest studio or so on. So they started with a NFT drop, basically to fund the beginning, and then they built, of course they had already certain parts of the game developed, and as you see here now on the screen is really that's something you will experience in Cypheria, and it's yeah, kind of a MOBA, I would say, but it's like legendary titles like League of Legends and Dota, but this is just now in a space world with a cyber feature, NFTs connected, and I think the animations of the characters, the Inus and so on, they match with the current trend in the market. Like when we see NFT collections and so on, and the team is very nice. We talked with them a lot, and they're super gamer focused, and they take a lot of feedback from the community. This is what we really enjoy, and yeah, and the gameplay looks really smooth, looks really like it's fun, and it's definitely this is just one part, one game mode, and there's
Yeah.
many more to come, and yeah, and then also they had a large race after. Even there was not a huge gameplay live, but they in their public round they raised 44 million. So
Hmm.
you can be sure that Cypheria is their metaverse, that they definitely expanding and building. And again, the team is fully on the top, and they delivered so far everything they promised. And even I would say graphic wise, over delivered. It looks really smooth. The character choice, how you choose the characters, it's very smooth, very high graphic, high end gameplay, and yeah, really excited about the final cut.
I was looking at their roadmap, very aggressive too, from their launch, or at least their start back in September of last year. But if you look at their current roadmap, the April to June, they've got their launch of their private playable demo, which is what we're talking about there. The Sipher Charge, which apparently some new characters as NFTs. Their loyalty program, which is another big factor I think that a lot of games need to roll into, at least from a strategy standpoint. And then the marketplace. Comic series 2 coming. So what are your thoughts about that? Because games now moving into more IP, getting ready to, obviously we've seen this with, massive projects like Apes and, the traditional NFT projects, but from a game side, we've only seen a handful of projects really lean into IP. Is this particular project, do you feel like they could maybe make a leap into developing something like comics and other IP?
I think we in a time, especially NFTs, right? You collect, and as you know from the NFT drops, they are limited, so they have 10,000 pieces from their 3 races, and but this is like collecting and having a comic or a cartoon series about your project is, I mean, for the community, right? Because there will be collectors and there will be people who trading these comics to get them all together, because it's not only one, right? One edition is maybe a 50, and some
Right.
of the and maybe these 50 or edition 1 have 100 pieces or 1,000, I don't know the numbers, but people want to have the whole edition. And then I'm pretty sure that having all the editions together gives you also another reward, because like this is something for collectors, players, is always the game should reward these people who really interact with the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. I think with IP, that could be the new era of in what we're seeing, because it's we've seen this has been created, in the real world out there today, and we've seen it to a certain extent in traditional gaming to start to develop and moving in that direction. I don't see that there is any reason why we can't see this in the crypto gaming side. Looking forward on their 2023 map, they've got a lot there, especially around the PvP money prizes, which is going to be a big factor, I think, with a lot of games and start of creating. I mean, we're going to see this more and more with projects like Sandbox, which they just went out with season 2. That was a good example of really how money is kind of rolling into the player community. But they're going in with tournaments as well. Do you see more projects launching, tournament series that have huge prizes and the ability to kind of ramp up, especially on these entry level games like what Sipher is doing?
I think tournaments is just a part of gaming, right? I mean, you shouldn't you should integrate it. I mean, not maybe necessarily into your project, but there's also external platforms you can use to basically run a tournament with your
Yeah.
game, and this is what keeps people attending tournaments, talking about the game, spreading the game, streaming the game. Like especially when there is spectator mode available. And this all again is nothing new actually. Counter-Strike was that time the one of the first they had a spectator mode, and then you've been able to bet on the games. So there is even a, let's say, like how you bet on a basketball game. So
Mhm.
there have been kind of, there's several features, and maybe it's not even a betting or even donation for your favorite player because you like what he's doing, and there's so many ways to incentivize players by playing your game. And I think the tournament mode, to have it inbuilt, gives you a little bit more freedom, about what you want to give back to the players. But even external tournaments, you have a lot of opportunities to reward players, and it gives you additional exposure. And if you have frequently run tournaments, and especially like here, a beautiful example of Sipher, how you can customize your character and so on. And
Mhm.
I think this is something with tournaments is definitely a very, very important fact of gaming and esport.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's going to be a rollout that we'll continue to see, just the explosion of the space starting to move. I'm excited to see more tournaments actually start to take place, especially in the esports side of things, where we really start to see players starting to commute or kind of commute into one, whether it's a tournament or whether it's a virtual tournament, really kind of see some of the bigger ones, because there's been a handful of them that have been attempted. I mean, there's been a few that they've been kind of ho-hum. So I'm hoping that we can kind of see a new explosion in growth in that area for sure. Hey, Mirko, always fun having you on the show, diving into these games and really getting inside an insider's look at where gaming is going, and also some of the big titles that are on the release. I can't wait for our next show, because I know we've got a big lineup of new games that are starting to move into the market, and I think there's a lot of pent-up demand in the gaming sector right now. So we're going to see a lot of stuff coming out very soon. But thanks again for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I think for the next show, maybe we need 24 hours to cover all the games coming out in the near future.
For sure. You got
It was
it.
a pleasure,
All
Paul.
right,
Thank you.
I like it. We'll try to do a long time stream on that one for sure. All right, you guys are tuned in over here on the podcast right now. Make sure and jump into the YouTube channel. It's the place that you're going to catch all these great graphics, a breakdown of these games, and you get a chance to join into our Diamond Circle. We really give a lot more alpha on not only games, but other projects within the crypto space. It's free to join, so just click the link below. Of course, if you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.